Hey, it worked for Peter Davidson.
Before we get into this countdown, I believe a little background is in order. Back in 2011, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. The diagnosis was a shock, to be honest, but at the same time it was also a wake-up call for me. I realized then that I had to make some serious changes to my lifestyle. Thanks to some big changes to my diet and activities, I've managed to keep my condition under control. So I owe my life to those doctors who helped me get back on track. So today, in honor of those doctors who save lives on a daily basis, I present my list of the top 10 healers in video games. Healers can be a real asset to a player, and at times can be the difference between success and failure. The following 10 characters exemplify this trait the best in my opinion. I'll be looking at how they do as characters as well as how well they do their job as healers. As usual, only from games I've played and only one per franchise, you know the drill. And with that, it's game time. To start off this list, let's talk about the lady you find at every Pokémon Center, Nurse Joy. Now, in any Pokémon game, your team is going to have a rough time, whether it's from training for the next gym leader or throwing another wrench into the plans of whatever criminal organization is in your way. So it's comforting to know that you can always count on Nurse Joy to heal your Pokémon whenever you come across a Pokémon Center. Walk in, give her your Pokémon, she puts them into the machine, and you're done. Of course, that's pretty much all she does. She's pretty much the equivalent of a free in most traditional RPGs. Other than that, the only time she actually has a personality to speak of is in the anime, when she got hit on by Brock half the time. Well, she's always there to handle my Pokémon, and that's good enough for me. Next! Ah yes, the Zelda series, one of my favorite franchises. Epic stories, vast worlds to explore, awesome boss battles, and you can most likely guess that up next are the Great Fairies. Ever since their debut in A Link to the Past, these fairies have appeared in various caves throughout Link's adventures to heal his wounds, accompanied by some very tranquil music, might I add. On top of that, many of them will offer you upgrades. Bigger wallet? Yes please. Longer magic meter? I'll take it. More bombs? Thanks, you rock! You gonna laugh at this sword? Huh? You gonna laugh at this sword? I'm gonna wreck you with this sword cause I got it from a Great Fairy, you big mean mother hubba! However, like Nurse Joy, the Great Fairies never really factor into the gameplay. Also, they really don't have much personality and are very one-dimensional. On top of that, I can't neglect to mention the thing that turns many players off about them. Their appearance in the N64 games. Yeesh, what are you, a fairy or a succubus? Whatever. Just fill up my hearts and we're cool. You know, there are some things that stretch the limits of even video game logic. Princess Peach is one of them. One moment she's getting kidnapped by Bowser for the 2,000,000,000th time, and the next she's fighting alongside both Mario and Bowser against a legion of anthropomorphic weapons. When Peach isn't in her typical role of damsel in distress, she's usually a healer, and she does the job surprisingly well. There are two instances in particular where Peach's healing ability comes into play. The first is in Super Mario RPG after you save her from an arranged marriage, including, I am not lying, biting a giant wedding cake. With healing techniques like therapy and group hug, as well as offensive techniques like sleepy time and psych bomb, she pretty much renders Kirby wannabe over here completely redundant. Sorry Mallow, she took your gerb. Dirk-a-dur! The second instance is in Super Princess Peach, where one of her vibes, the Calm vibe specifically, allows her to gradually recover her health. Ironically, in that game, she's the one saving Mario's sorry ass. And that's what confuses me. She has skills, we've seen her use them, so why the hell is she still getting kidnapped? Is there something going on that I don't know about?
On second thought, don't answer that.
I know some people slam the Mega Man X series for being the same game every time. Let me ask you this. How many of those people have played Command Mission? Judging from the sales figures, I'd say not too many. And that's a shame because this RPG has the ingredients of a hidden gem. A story of intrigue, an intuitive battle system, and a solid cast of characters. Sweetening the roster is the next healer on our list, the Nurse Reploid Cinnamon. As a character, the best way to describe Cinnamon is, well, cute. She has a cute appearance, cute personality, albeit a bit naive, so she's cute. Her skills come in handy as she slaps her opponent silly in spite of her weak defenses, but her healing power is expressed through her action trigger, Angelic Aid. Using it, Cinnamon can heal herself and her allies depending on how fast you rotate the right analog stick.
Sorry. Bad memories of Mario Party.
Outside of battle, Cinnamon performs another important function, the incredibly useful Force Metal Generator. This essentially makes her a walking armory, supplying you with upgrades and new abilities. Long story short, Cinnamon is a character that will prove to be a key ingredient in your recipe for success. Makes me wonder why there hasn't been a nurse character in Arcana Heart yet.
Hey, if they can put a maid with a big-ass sword in the series, they can put a nurse. Don't judge me!
Show of hands, who here has owned a Dreamcast? Well, I haven't either, but at least some of the greatest games of this system made it onto other consoles, such as the GameCube. One of my favorites among these titles was Skies of Arcadia, where we'll find our number 6. So this is Vina, a member of the Sylvite civilization. As one of the last of her kind, she grew up extremely lonely, and being the case, like Cinnamon, she's a bit naive, although her loyalty shows as her friendship with Vice and Aika develops. But in order to gauge her worth as a healer, I need to mention the fact that, thanks to the Moonstones in the magic system, any party member can potentially be a healer in theory. However, what puts Vina on the list are her super moves. These include moves that can give your party members regeneration, remove buffs from enemies, remove debuffs from your party, and her ultimate move, Lunar Light, completely restores the party to full strength. What's more, it's a Class 3 expedited ability, which means it has insane priority which can only be trumped by a select few enemy moves. Let's see Excadrill beat speed like that, huh? Sandrush ain't gonna save you now, punk! On top of that, her magic power is the highest of anyone in the game, more than making up for her languid attack stat, which renders Cupel a moot point. Bottom line, Vina is a valuable ally to the Blue Rogues. Healers like her come along once in a blue moon. Or a silver one in this case. If there's one thing I can't stand, it's fanbases, and few are worse than Final Fantasy. I honestly cannot stand the debate over whether 6 or 7 is the best game ever, especially when Final Fantasy IV gets swept under the rug. It's actually my personal favorite, mainly because of how well its characters develop, especially Cecil. Of course, this is a list of healers, so naturally, we come to the White Mage Rosa. Now, White Mages are the healers of the franchise, at least when characters aren't Jacks and Jills of all trades that can learn pretty much any spell. Rosa definitely does the job well, learning every white magic spell in the game. On top of that, not only can her Prey ability potentially restore HP without using magic points, but she's also a skilled archer, and her aim ability allows her to do some decent damage, especially against flying enemies. Of course, Rosa wouldn't be this high unless I felt she delivered in terms of character, and from my perspective, while she offers support to other characters, the proof of her strength as a character is evident in her relationship with Cecil. Throughout the game, she's always supportive of Cecil because of how much she loves him. Hell, she's even willing to risk her own safety for his sake. Rosa, to sum it up, is pixel proof of how powerful love can be. After all, nothing says I love you like a Kiraga spell when you're fighting eldritch abominations like, you know, this! As you may have noticed, most healers use magic to heal their allies. Sharla from Xenoblade Chronicles uses a freaking rifle! That alone warrants plus 50 to originality. Trained as a medic in the Colony 6 Defense Force, she proves to be a valuable ally in the fight against the Mechon. And she has 2 good reasons to fight alongside Shulk and Rhyme. The first being for the sake of her younger brother Juju, for whom she cares very deeply. The second arises from the fact that the Mechon killed and harvested all of her colleagues, including her fiancé Gadol. As far as her capabilities on the battlefield are concerned, you'll be glad to have her on your side. Her healing arts can often heal damage faster than enemies can dish it out, making even mid-level enemies into battles of attrition. And for the harder-hitting enemies, she can even shield the party from a set amount of damage, as well as protect the party from debuffs. She can even hold her own if she has to, since she does have some offensive skills, not to mention significant range. However, this is offset somewhat by her low attack rate, as well as the fact that due to the fact that she does use a rifle, it's prone to overheating, and she needs to cool off every so often. However, her aforementioned healing skills more than make up for that issue. One last thing. I can't be the only one that finds it strange that Sharla, the team's medic, is the only character in the game with an insta-kill move. What, has she been taking lessons from the sniper?
Be polite. Be efficient. Have a plan to kill everyone you meet.
One of the things that really make Persona 4 is its cast of characters. I mean, you've got the goofy sidekick Yosuke, the spunky tomboy Chie, tough guy Kanji, uber serious Naoto, the hilarious Teddy, and others. And taking the number 3 spot, we have...
Please escort me to the ring, my prince! The unconquerable Snow Black, Yukiko Amagi!
I'll finish you in one strike!
Ah yes, Yukiko. An excellent combination of beauty, brains, and brawn in one standout package. And like most characters in Persona 4, emphasis on most, I'm looking at you, King Moron, she's a very likable character. At first, she's a very shy young woman, but after certain events, she becomes much livelier, although prone to some serious laughing fits. What about those certain events, you ask? Well, Persona 4's story deals with some very hard-hitting issues. In Yukiko's case, it's the stress over the fact that she'll one day inherit her family's inn. The fear of this responsibility manifests as her shadow, which is a tough boss for this early in the game. Of course, when she comes to terms, she gains the persona Konohana Sakuya, which leads to her healing criteria. There are 6 major healing skills in the game, and many personas learn at least one of them. Yukiko's persona learns all of them. All of them! Including Salvation, which completely restores the party and heals all status effects. In fact, Konohana Sakuya learns this move at an earlier level than any other persona. Also, she has a lot of SP, which more than makes up for her sorry attack stats, which are basically useless unless she's berserk. Also, as you develop her social link, her healing becomes more powerful, and once you max it out, her persona evolves into Amaterasu. No, not that one. Hell, her healing skills even carry over into Persona 4 Arena, where she can use Dia to heal her damage. Wow. Such beauty, such grace. No wonder she has so many fans. And cue facepalm.
Aw, come on, you knew it had to happen sooner or later.
Rain is a nerd, and I love her for it. The professor of Tales of Symphonia, Rain Sage is a character I always have on my team whenever I can. That's because her healing skills are unmatched both in and out of battle. Depending on how you level her up, she can learn AoE arts like Nurse, Healing Circle, and Revitalize, or single target arts like Heal, Cure, and Revive. Not only that, but she can provide both attack and defense buffs, which also develop depending on her art path. And as a bonus, she also has a few light element arts like Photon and Holy Lance, which means she can get through a battle by herself if need be. True, these are skills that many healers in the series have, but what gets her on the list instead of, say, Tyr from Tales of the Abyss or Estelle from Vesperia is her personality. Like I mentioned earlier, I love her tendency to go full-on nerd. Seriously, I smile whenever she goes into Ruin mode. And of course, this happens whenever she comes anywhere near ruins or magic technology or anything like that. Jeez, nerdgasmic much? However, even when she's not in Ruin mode, I still find her to be a great character. As a teacher to both her little brother Genus and the main protagonist Lloyd, she brings a great deal of wisdom to the group, though sometimes she does get a little hands-on. Also, in spite of the despair surrounding her, she manages to keep a cool head and considers long-term consequences rather than short-term need, making her a great complement to Lloyd's rashness. Not to mention, her maturity makes her a great mother figure to Genus. To sum up Rain, she's a great healer and a great companion. Except for the fact that she can't cook for jack shit!
Speaking of which, I think that lunch is starting to go sour in my stomach. I'll be right back. That's better. Now, where was I? Oh yeah, number 1.
Now, the previous 9 entries share some common traits. They're generally kind, compassionate, and, well, female. Not my fault, really. The role of healer is generally relegated to a woman, and those men who are healers usually don't have much personality. Number 1 on this list not only breaks the mold, but shatters it into a million pieces, burns those pieces, and dances on the ashes. And that character is...
Let's go practice medicine.
I tried not to. Really, I did. But I couldn't bring myself to give the number 1 spot to anyone else but the medic from TF2. I know both Josh Scorcher and WeDude83 praised this guy to no end already, but that's because he stands out in every possible way for a healer. Remember all those traits I mentioned? You know, kindness, compassion? Yeah, the medic has none of those traits. He's completely and utterly insane and an absolute sadist. Think a cross between Relius and Hazama, except actually likable. He was born in Germany during a time when the Hippocratic Oath was downgraded to an optional Hippocratic suggestion, and he once even removed a patient's skeleton. This ended up resulting in the loss of his medical license, but not his urge to get creative with people's body parts. But does he perform as a healer in battle? Abso-freaking-lutely! The Medigun is the driving force behind the medic's usefulness. It can quickly heal damage to his allies on the battlefield quicker than they can find health pickups. Seriously, you'll be exercising that E-key so many times it's not even joke-worthy. Also, as he heals his allies, his uber-charge meter fills up, and once it's full, he can make himself and his partner invincible for 8 seconds. I'm not kidding when I say that one well-placed uber can turn a certain defeat into a comeback victory. Just imagine how useful it would be in real life. It would revolutionize medicine as we know it!
Not to mention make a zillionaire out of the inventor.
And even if the person he's healing dies, he's more than capable of dealing damage on his own with both ranged and melee weapons. To put it simply, the medic is amazing. He has a lively personality and backstory, his weapons are both useful and creative, he fits the role of a healer perfectly, and he is so much fun to play as. And that is more than enough to make him gaming's greatest healer ever.
I'm the quarter guy, and if you'll excuse me, I need to go check my blood sugar. Thanks for watching!
I'm fairly certain you're right.
What was noise?
The sound of progress, my friend.